Ready for a journey back to ancient Greece.
Hmm.
Not just the Greece of togas and temples, but the Greece where gods walked among mortals,
Oh,
their
yeah.
passions and rivalries shaping the destinies of empires.
Right, a world where a mother's boast could lead to unimaginable tragedy,
Oh, wow.
where a simple musical instrument held the power to mend broken hearts and forge divine alliances.
That's right. Today we're diving deep into the myths surrounding Apollo, the god of music, prophecy, healing, and even plague.
Wow.
You've given us a fascinating collection of sources,
I tried.
a blend of ancient myths and some really insightful modern analysis from expert Liv Albert.
She's great.
She is. It's a chance to unravel Apollo's multifaceted nature, to see how his seemingly contradictory roles might actually paint a richer, more nuanced picture of this pivotal figure in the Greek pantheon.
Yeah, and there's something here for everyone, whether you're revisiting these myths or encountering them for the first time.
That's a good point.
Get ready for tales of vengeance, love affairs that end tragically, and some surprising insights into how Apollo may have solidified his place in the pantheon, even surpassing his father Zeus in some ways.
Exactly. And what better place to begin than with the dramatic circumstances of Apollo's birth?
Definitely, because even coming into the world was quite an ordeal for this god.
Yeah, his mother, Leto, a Titan, was pursued by the jealous wrath of Hera, Zeus's wife.
Right, not exactly a peaceful pregnancy, to say the least.
Can you imagine?
Oh, no.
Wandering the earth for months, searching for a safe haven while pregnant with twins.
Hera, as the goddess of marriage and childbirth, wasn't exactly pleased about Zeus's infidelity.
Yeah, of course not.
She cursed Leto, forbidding her from giving birth on solid ground.
Wow, so eventually Leto found refuge on Delos, a floating island.
Right.
Because it wasn't connected to the earth, it provided a loophole in Hera's curse.
It did.
Okay, I have to pause here because this is where it gets really intriguing.
Okay.
Not only did Leto give birth to Apollo on this floating island, but his twin sister Artemis actually assisted in the birth. A baby helping deliver her own brother.
It's a detail that often gets overlooked.
I know.
But as you pointed out in your notes,
Right.
it's fascinating to consider why Apollo, the male twin, receives all the glory, even though Artemis played a crucial role in his arrival.
It definitely makes you think about the gender dynamics even among the gods, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's a theme we'll encounter again and again as we delve deeper into Apollo's story.
For sure.
But for now, let's move on to another pivotal event in his early life,
Okay.
his slaying of the serpent Python.
This is one of those classic God versus monster myths I remember from childhood,
Yeah.
but I never realized the full significance of what it represented.
Python guarded the oracle at Delphi, which before Apollo's arrival was primarily associated with female deities.
Okay.
By slaying Python, Apollo takes control of the oracle, shifting it from a matriarchal to a patriarchal domain.
So it's not just a monster-slaying story. It's almost like a mythological representation of a power shift happening in ancient Greece.
Exactly, and Liv Albert makes a compelling argument that this myth might reflect real-life changes in power structures during that period,
Ah.
a move away from female-centric religious practices towards a more male-dominated system.
It makes you wonder how much of Greek mythology was influenced by these societal shifts and power struggles.
Yeah.
Were they trying to explain or even justify these changes through the stories of their gods?
That's a great question, and it's something to keep in mind as we explore more of Apollo's myths,
Oh, wait.
particularly those involving women.
Got it.
For example, the story of Niobe, a queen who learns a harsh lesson about the dangers of boasting, especially when it comes to motherhood.
This one's a bit tragic, Niobe.
Yeah.
Proud of her 14 children, boasts of having more than Leto, Apollo's mother.
Not the best move.
I know, right? Considering Leto is a goddess with two very protective and very skilled archer children.
Exactly.
Apollo and Artemis, driven by filial loyalty, unleashed their arrows, killing all of Niobe's children.
It's a stark reminder of the gods' immense power and their capacity for both creation and destruction,
I know.
sometimes in the same breath.
And it highlights that interesting duality within Apollo himself.
Yeah.
He's the god of healing, of music and poetry,
Right.
but he's also capable of this ruthless vengeance.
Which makes you question if these seemingly contradictory aspects were intentionally woven into his character,
Yeah.
perhaps reflecting the complexities of human nature itself, or even the ancient Greeks' attempts to understand the unpredictable forces at play in their own lives.
So we've seen Apollo as a powerful, sometimes vengeful god. But let's switch gears for a moment and explore his lighter side,
Okay.
his connection to music.
I like it.
Now, I've always assumed Apollo invented the lyre,
Oh,
that iconic instrument so often depicted in his hands.
that's a common misconception.
Oh, is it?
The lyre's invention is actually attributed to baby Hermes, the trickster god.
Really?
And it involves one of my favorite stories from Greek mythology.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Baby Hermes inventing a musical instrument. This has to be good.
It really is. According to the Homeric hymn to Hermes,
Okay.
Hermes, as a mischievous infant,
Uh-huh.
not only created the lyre from a tortoise shell,
Wow.
picture that,
I'm trying to, and it's both adorable and kind of hilarious.
but he also, in a feat of daring, stole Apollo's cattle
Who didn't?
as a peace offering, or perhaps to avoid Apollo's wrath.
Makes sense.
He gifts the lyre to him.
Oh, wow.
And Apollo, being the god of music, falls in love with it instantly.
So the god of music didn't even create his own signature instrument.
Right.
It was a gift, a peace offering from a baby who had just pulled off the ultimate prank.
It's such a classic Hermes move, isn't it? And it really humanizes these gods in a way. They're
Yeah.
not just these distant, all-powerful beings. You're
Yeah.
capable of jealousy,
Mhm.
trickery, and
Yeah.
even forgiveness.
It reminds me that Greek mythology, while filled with epic tales and larger-than-life figures, is also rich with these moments of humor, absurdity, and
Silence.
relatable human emotions.
And that human element is what makes these stories so enduring.
Totally agree.
We connect with these gods not just because of their powers,
Right.
but because we see glimpses of ourselves reflected in their flaws, their passions, and even their sense of humor.
Which brings us to another fascinating aspect of Apollo's story, his association with the Muses,
Yes.
those goddesses of inspiration who embody the creative spark.
Now, the Muses aren't directly related to Apollo.
Okay.
They're daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory,
Right.
which is a fitting connection, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would.
Creativity often stems from our memories,
Yeah.
our experiences, the tapestry of our past.
It makes perfect sense, but what's interesting is that they rarely appear as active characters in the myths.
Right.
You'd think goddesses of inspiration would have some pretty epic adventures.
I know, right?
Why is that?
Think of it this way. The Muses are the facilitators of creation itself. They inspire the poets, the musicians, the artists.
Their power lies in their ability to spark creativity in others,
Okay.
to guide the hand that shapes the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
to breathe life into words and music.
So they're like the ultimate creative collaborators, but they don't need the spotlight.
Exactly. They embody the idea that true creativity isn't about ego or fame.
Right.
It's about that pure joy of creating,
I love that.
of bringing something new and beautiful into the world.
Which is a beautiful segue into another area where Apollo's influence is deeply felt, the Trojan War.
Ooh, yeah.
We all know the gods were notorious for meddling in human affairs.
Of course.
But Apollo's actions in this particular conflict were particularly impactful.
And perhaps more complex than we might initially realize.
yeah.
He sides with the Trojans,
Okay.
even though they had betrayed him and Poseidon earlier by refusing to pay them for building the walls of Troy.
Hold on. Why would he support the very people who had wronged him?
It's a question that has puzzled scholars for centuries.
It makes sense.
Some believe it might have been a strategic move.
Perhaps to appease the Trojans and gain their favor in the long run.
Right.
Others suggest it might have been a personal vendetta against the Greeks, or even a way to subtly challenge Zeus's authority.
It adds another layer of intrigue to the already complex dynamics between the gods.
Absolutely. And his involvement in the war itself is equally fascinating.
Okay.
It all starts with Agamemnon,
Uh-huh.
the leader of the Greeks,
Right?
taking Chrysis,
Oh, yeah.
the daughter of Apollo's priest,
I don't remember.
as a war prize.
I see where this is going. Another tale of a god's vengeance triggered by disrespect.
Exactly. Apollo, enraged by this act, unleashes a plague upon the Greek army,
Oh, wow.
decimating their ranks and effectively crippling their war efforts.
Wow, so this wasn't just a minor intervention.
No,
His actions had a significant impact on the course of the war.
precisely. And it's this plague that sets in motion the chain of events that fuels the Iliad,
Oh, wow.
the epic poem about the Trojan War.
So even though Apollo isn't the main character in the Iliad, his actions have a ripple effect throughout the entire story.
Yes.
He's like the unseen hand shaping the destinies of heroes and empires.
It really highlights his indirect yet powerful influence, doesn't it?
It does.
Even in matters of war and peace, his presence is felt,
Uh-huh.
a constant reminder of the god's ability to sway the tides of human destiny.
And speaking of shaping destinies, this brings us to another fascinating aspect of Apollo, his role as the god of prophecy,
Okay.
most famously associated with the oracle at Delphi.
Ah, yes, the most revered oracle in ancient Greece.
I can only imagine what it must have been like to stand in that sacred space,
Yeah.
to feel the weight of history,
Right.
knowing that pronouncements made there could influence everything from personal decisions to the outcomes of wars.
It speaks to the profound authority that the ancient Greeks attributed to Apollo in his pronouncements.
Mm-hmm.
The oracle's words were considered divine guidance,
Right.
capable of revealing hidden truths and illuminating the paths ahead.
But there's an interesting duality here, isn't there?
Uh-huh.
In real life, the oracle seems to have guided major decisions and shaped history.
Right.
But in the myths, things often go awry when heroes misinterpret the prophecies,
Yes.
leading to tragic outcomes.
Like the classic story of Oedipus,
Exactly.
who, despite trying to avoid his fated destiny,
Yeah.
ends up fulfilling the very prophecy he was so desperate to escape.
It's almost like the myths are warning us about the dangers of trying to cheat fate, even when we think we're doing the right thing.
Or perhaps it's a reflection of the ancient Greeks' understanding that free will and destiny are constantly intertwined,
Right.
and that even the gods, with all their power, can't always control the course of human events.
And it highlights another facet of Apollo's complex nature.
Yeah.
He's the god of prophecy. He can see the future,
Uh-huh.
but even he can't always prevent tragedy or change the course that fate has set.
Which makes him all the more fascinating, wouldn't you say?
I would.
This god who embodies such seemingly contradictory aspects. This force of creation and destruction.
I know, right?
This figure who reflects both the brilliance and the darkness of human nature itself.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but there's still so much more to uncover about Apollo.
So much more.
Or just more to delve into.
Indeed, and I think you'll be particularly intrigued by what we discover next. While Asclepius is the one actively practicing medicine,
Right.
putting those healing powers into action.
So it's a family affair with Apollo as the source of those healing abilities.
It is.
But even the birth of Asclepius is steeped in tragedy, isn't it?
It certainly is. His mother, Coronis,
Right.
was loved by Apollo, but she apparently caught the eye of another. Apollo, in a fit of jealous rage, killed Coronis.
Wow.
But realizing his unborn child was still alive,
Oh.
he rescued Asclepius from his mother's womb.
Wow. Talk about a dramatic entrance into the world. It almost seems like a premonition of Asclepius's own tragic fate,
Right.
which I know we won't delve into right now, but it does make you wonder about these recurring patterns of tragedy, especially when it comes to those close to Apollo.
It's a pattern we see again and again in Apollo's myths.
Yeah.
His love affairs in particular
Whoa.
seem to be cursed with these unfortunate and often violent endings.
For sure. We've already mentioned Hyacinthus, who died in a discus accident with Apollo.
Right, and then there's Cyparissus, whose death also involved a sporting mishap.
It almost feels like a cautionary tale,
Uh-huh.
a warning about the dangers of getting too close to a god, even one associated with beauty and light.
Perhaps. Or maybe it's a reflection of the ancient Greeks' beliefs about the fleeting nature of beauty and youth,
Okay.
the inevitability of death even for those loved by the gods.
Makes sense.
It's a reminder that even in the realm of mythology,
Yeah.
where gods and monsters roam,
Right.
there's a profound sense of realism,
Mm.
a recognition of life's inherent fragility.
It makes me think about how these gods are depicted in art, particularly Apollo.
Yeah.
What's the typical portrayal?
He's often shown as youthful and beardless,
Right.
emphasizing his association with beauty, vitality, and eternal youth.
I've seen those statues and paintings, usually holding a lyre or wearing a laurel wreath,
Exactly.
symbolizing his victory over the Python and his connection to prophecy.
And those images passed down through the centuries
Right.
shape our perception of these gods.
It's interesting.
It's fascinating how art becomes a conduit for these stories,
Yeah.
keeping them alive in our imaginations.
It reminds me of that anecdote you shared about correcting a shop owner who had mislabeled a bust of Apollo as a goddess.
Oh,
Yeah, it's funny how these misconceptions persist,
I know.
even in places you wouldn't expect.
It highlights how much we still have to learn and rediscover about these ancient myths and figures.
Yeah, for
They're so pervasive in our culture,
Uh-huh.
yet there's always something new to uncover, some hidden meaning to explore.
Okay, so we've seen Apollo as this complex figure, a god of contradictions.
Yes.
He's associated with music and healing,
right.
but also plague and vengeance.
Yeah.
He's a protector of young men. But His lovers often meet tragic ends.
Right.
He's associated with reason and logic, yet he can be driven by passion and rage.
Hmm.
It's almost as if the ancient Greeks wanted to create a god who embodied the full spectrum of human experience.
Fascinating observation.
Yeah.
And it circles back to Liv Albert's theory that Apollo's vast portfolio of domains might be a way to appease him,
Okay.
to prevent him from challenging Zeus's rule.
It's like they were trying to keep him busy and important,
Yeah.
give him enough responsibilities so he wouldn't have time to plot a coup.
Right.
It adds a whole new layer of political intrigue to the Olympian family drama.
Exactly. It makes you wonder what other power struggles might be hidden beneath the surface of these myths.
Uh-huh.
What motivations drove the actions of these gods,
Right.
and how much of their behavior was influenced by the dynamics of their own divine society.
It's like we're peeling back layers of meaning,
Yeah.
uncovering hidden motives, and realizing that these stories are far more intricate than we might have initially thought.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for us, the modern-day deep divers into this ancient world?
I think it challenges us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions,
Right.
and to embrace the complexities and contradictions inherent in both mythology and human nature.
I like that.
To understand that these stories, even though they're thousands of years old,
Yeah.
still have something to teach us about ourselves and the world we live in.
That these myths, in all their drama and intrigue, offer a reflection of our own struggles,
Absolutely.
our own desires, our own capacity for both greatness and darkness.
Precisely.
And that's the true magic of mythology, isn't it?
I think so.
It's a journey of discovery, a conversation across time,
Yeah.
and a mirror that reflects our own humanity back at us.
I agree.
It's making me think about that famous oracle at Delphi,
Yeah.
the place where people sought Apollo's guidance.
Right.
Imagine if we could travel back in time and stand in that sacred space,
Ah.
feel the weight of history, and ask the oracle, the Pythia herself, one question. What a thought.
Right.
To actually stand there in the presence of the oracle. But what question would I ask?
Right.
There are so many possibilities, so many mysteries I'd want to unravel.
That's the real challenge, isn't it? To distill all of human curiosity, all our hopes and anxieties into a single question that would reveal the most profound truth, the most valuable insight.
And would we even be prepared for the answer? What if it challenged everything we thought we knew,
Yeah.
shattered our preconceived notions, forced us to confront uncomfortable truths?
That's the risk we take when we delve into the unknown, when we seek knowledge beyond the familiar.
Yeah.
The journey might be unsettling, even disruptive,
Right.
but it's in those moments of discomfort that we truly grow,
Okay.
expand our understanding, and evolve our perspective.
We've explored the myths, uncovered the hidden meanings, and grappled with the complexities of Apollo. He's a god who defies easy categorization,
I know, right?
a figure who embodies both the brilliance and the darkness of human nature, a reflection of our own inner struggles.
And through him, we've glimpsed the world of ancient Greece, a world where gods and humans were inextricably intertwined,
Absolutely.
where fate and free will were constantly at odds,
Yeah.
where the search for meaning and understanding was as vital then as it is today.
So to all our listeners out there, we leave you with this. What question would you ask the oracle at Delphi?
Oh, that's good.
What mystery would you seek to unravel? What truth would you dare to confront?
And perhaps more importantly, would you be brave enough to face the answer, no matter the cost?
Right.
Would you embrace the unknown, even if it meant shattering the foundations of your beliefs?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating topics.
Definitely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking the stories that connect us all.